Okay, back again. Today we have another computer video, and you're looking right at it. This is a 2004 iBook G4. I believe this is a 12-inch. I'm sorry, my math is terrible. This is either a 12 or a 14-inch. I think it's a 14-inch iBook G4. Now, as far as the backstory on this machine, I got it for free when I was still living at home from a longtime friend's mother, and she gave me two laptops, one of which I sold on eBay for about $75. So I got a 2008 MacBook, white unibody, I don't think it was either, no, it was a polycarbonate, sorry, white polycarbonate MacBook. And, of course, you know, these computers had not been wiped because the mother didn't know how to wipe the drives, so I went and did the favor of wiping the drives. But, so I sold the MacBook, and then this is the other computer I got for free, which is the iBook G4. And this thing is in pretty decent condition for a, oh god, my math is terrible. For a 14-year-old, 2004, 14-year-old laptop. Did I mention I was terrible at math? Yes, I think I've already said that about 50 times now. But when I got this laptop, it was running Mac OS, I believe it was running Panther, I think? It's been so long I don't remember. But it was, but then they had a little bit of a problem. Because one day, I turned it on to install Leopard, and all of a sudden I hear like this really loud grinding sound, which was coming from the hard drive. And what happened was, then I heard like a crash, like glass shattering, and then I got the blinking folder of death, which means the system volume could not be detected. So, I literally, the hard drive, the best way to describe it is the platters exploded and shattered, because when I took the hard drive out, and believe me, these things are not easy to take apart. They are probably one of the most difficult laptops to disassemble in the whole entire universe. I shook the hard drive and I just heard like sifting sounds, like there was sand in it, except it was fragments of the platters. So, I mean, even though I had already wiped the drive I'd already wiped the drive with disk utility, but then when I went to install Leopard, yeah, the drive, it was a Toshiba 60 gigabyte hard drive, and it failed. Now, but of course, there are two main brands that I have problems with as far as hard drives are concerned: Hitachi and Toshiba. Those drives, and Hitachi, a lot of people you're probably saying, Ben, how the hell do you not like Hitachi hard drives? Well, I've always had bad luck with them. They always fail on me. They always die. Every time I've had a computer that's had a Hitachi Travel Star hard drive in it, or I don't remember if they made desktop hard drives, but they always fail. I get the click of death. You know, the head just starts going click, 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 and the hard drive dies. So, yeah. Anyways, so let's get on with the iBook G4, shall we? So now that I've told the backstory, I'll briefly go over the ports, which I'm sure any Apple fanboy or girl has probably already knows. So on this side we have the Super Drive, and yes, this model does have a Super Drive. I actually had another iBook G4 that was a 12-inch. This is 14 inches, which I sold on eBay for about $50. But that one had a combo drive. This one, fortunately, has a Super Drive, so that is a nice addition. You get your power input here. Then on the other side, we have the 56K modem. I believe this is Gigabit Ethernet, FireWire 400, two USB 2.0 ports, a mini display which you can use output, which you can use a VGA adapter to output video to an external monitor, and of course your audio out TRS jack, which I believe is also a combination port, which I believe can also be configured through software to be used as a microphone jack. Get the camera centered a little bit more. Now, before we go ahead and demonstrate this thing booting up, I'll tell the story of replacing the hard drive. So I call this machine the Netbook G4. For those of you who remember netbooks, for those of you who don't remember netbooks, they were very small, ultra-portable laptops that began shipping around 2006. And they used very minimal, the early netbooks used very low-power Celeron processors, and then later they used the Atom processor, which eventually got a dual-core upgrade. They usually ran Windows XP Home Edition. Later models shipped with Windows 7 Starter Edition, and people bought these things. They were great for watching YouTube videos, doing Microsoft Word documents or PowerPoints, even though they had unbelievably small keyboards, which made it quite difficult to type on. They were good for video chatting because they usually had built-in webcams and microphones, even though the quality was probably a mere 0.3 megapixels. The quality of the cameras was just mediocre on those things. But the reason I call this the Netbook G4 is because when the original 60 gigabyte hard drive exploded and had its little meltdown, I went through my spare parts collection, and the only hard drive I had that was a 2.5 inch IDE style hard drive was a 5 gigabyte hard drive that I pulled from an IBM ThinkPad iSeries 1161 laptop. What happened to that laptop was quite tragic. The screen hinges snapped and the LCD separated from the lower body casing. And later, after watching a video from B. Bishop PCM's world, he taught me something I didn't know about the iSeries laptops, is that they're actually made by Acer. And I thought, no wonder the screen hinges snapped. It's made by freaking Acer. But anyways, so I put after quite a bit of frustration, I was finally able to install the 5 gigabyte hard drive with Windows Millennium on it into this iBook G4. And the worst part was when I unplugged. I didn't know I didn't have to unplug the optical drive, but I did, and I broke the little plastic connector on the optical drive, ribbon cable connector, and I couldn't put it back on. So what I ended up having to do is I ended up disassembling this thing about 5 different times and getting a Starbucks in between, and I ended up finally just having to get some electrical tape and taping the optical drive connector back in place. And thank God it worked. So I went ahead and installed macOS. I went ahead and just determined an operating system to install on this thing. I wish I had made a video of me servicing this laptop, because you'd get to see all the frustration that went into this. And I figured Panther is I figured Panther probably, because I know most iBook G4s, some of them I don't even think will run Panther. It won't even detect the CD. So I figured, and Leopard obviously takes up too much space, because Leopard was a major step up from Tiger. But then I thought, Tiger might work. So I went ahead and got my Tiger discs out, and sure enough, I was able to install Tiger. But I had to do a minimal install, because when I ran the installer for the first time, it said I didn't have enough space. So anyways, I think it's time we power this thing up and show it in action. So here we go. Hit that glorious Apple startup chime, which unfortunately is no longer present on newer Macs. And it's very quiet, but if you listen closely, you might be able to hear the hard drive spinning in there, the little head moving. And I will say that Tiger actually runs surprisingly well on this laptop, because even though it only has a 5 gigabyte hard drive, it still runs relatively well. And of course, the PRAM battery. Well, actually, I don't think the iBook G4 has a PRAM battery. I could be thinking of the G3, but I remember I think the PRAM battery is run off of the main battery, and obviously this doesn't have a battery because it was completely dead, and it was actually starting to swell up when I first got it. So the cells were swollen up when I tried to take it apart to try to rejuvenate it. So I just ended up throwing it out. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the specs on this computer. Go ahead and zoom in on that. So we got a 1.33 gigahertz camera, tripod. Are you going to cooperate? We got a 1.33 gigahertz G4 chip and 512 megabytes of RAM. Although on the specification sticker under the keyboard, it showed that this model originally had only 256 megabytes of RAM. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the system profiler. There's the system info in case you want to pause the video and take a picture of that. We'll go ahead and take a look at the hard drive here. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the IBM hard drive here. So let's see if you guys can see that. Now you can't. So we'll move the camera again. Focus. Come on. There we go. So as you can see, really. There we go. That's better. So as you can see, it's reporting that it's a 4.66 gigabyte drive. It's 5 gigabytes total is what it says on the drive label. And it's an IBM TravelStar hard drive. And it was interesting because when I put this in, it originally had it's a factory install of Windows Millennium on it, and it gave me the prohibitory sign. So, but yeah, it was not a bad it was not an easy installation process, and it would take me forever to explain how to disassemble one of these things. But I might do a video on it one day, like if I ever find one of these things at the thrift store that needs repair. I just might make a video on how to disassemble these things, and it is no easy task, let me tell you that right now. So with the internal Airport Extreme, I went ahead and connected this to the internet and installed 10.4 Fox, which is basically a PowerPC fanboy browser for older PowerPC based Macs, and it basically provides a modern browser that you can do modern tasks in, because obviously Safari on Tiger and Panther is so old it'll usually crash when you try to load any modern website. So we got 10.4 Fox up. Let me go ahead and just go to a website here, and I know my video skills are still absolutely wonderful. So we'll go ahead and go to one of my favorite websites, which I've been a fan of since the early 2000s. Internet Explorer is evil. Yes, who doesn't remember Nathan's Toasty Tech page on IE? So as you can see, it opens modern website. It opens old websites, no problem. As you can see, we got the Windows 98 setup here. It's pretty sluggish though because of that. Oh, and we already crashed. So, and it's already crashing. So, yep, and it just quit unexpectedly. So, we'll go ahead and try that again. Of course, when I want to show stuff running, then 10.4 Fox crashes. Alright, let's try that again. Windows 98 setup. It worked before. Trust me, it did. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. So, basically so older websites run just fine. We'll go ahead and pull up a YouTube. We'll go ahead and pull up YouTube here. We'll go ahead and pull up V. Westlife's channel because he doesn't have a featured video. I tried to bring up my channel, and it ended up crashing because I have a featured video. So we'll bring up V. Westlife's channel here. And as you can see, it loads YouTube channels fairly well, fairly quickly. But as for video playback, not so much. We'll go ahead and go to my channel, and I'll demonstrate what happens when you try to. Oh, well, now it's not even gonna load. Never mind. We got the spinning beach ball again, so. Yeah, and it's crashing again. So as you can see, modern websites obviously don't really work. As you can see, it quit unexpectedly again. As you can see, 10.4 Fox quit unexpectedly again. So obviously G4s are not exactly usable nowadays, but they're still good for basic web browsing, like web browsing that doesn't involve videos or a lot of Flash content or HTML5 content. You can still do quite a bit with it, but obviously this machine is not really built for that. Funny, because it was working fine earlier, and it was able to load modern websites, so I guess I just have it's camera shy, perhaps. But anyways, that's pretty much all I have installed on this computer, because if we take a look at the Macintosh HD here, we only have 1.77 gigabytes available, which I'll zoom in on right now, as you can see right there. So yeah, so we really don't have that much space to work with, but overall, I think this project went pretty well. You could also use this as a music machine, because I went ahead and put iTunes on here. So, and you can download videos and play them in QuickTime, and they play just fine. So that's pretty much all there is to say about this laptop. I just needed to get a video up, so as you can see, we got dashboard here, which sometimes works. Maybe it doesn't. Well, as Steve Jobs would say, it's pretty awesome when it works. There we go. Yeah. Anyways, we'll go ahead and shut down for now. So there you have it, the Netbook G4. Demonstration did not go as planned, but hey, I mean, it's never a decent video without glitches, right? Anyways, that's pretty much all for now.